what they would talk about is not something that I could attain, even if I tried to.
Okay.
And so I've already done like my cutting out of people who are toxic and whatever. Then I had classes with them, a bunch of classes with them, and now I have to kind of like put on a face and it's just the way it is at school. Like I'm out of school, it's changed in the aspect of like people know not to pick me up anymore because I've like probably raised my standard of comfort.
Okay.
I don't want people to think that. It's just
Listen,
I don't vibe with
I mean, I did that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. But that's just what's happening. Oh yeah, and then I tried this. So there's this one friend who, like, I just didn't talk to for a while, and so he wanted to go see a movie, and I was like, okay, we'll see a movie. You know, it's whatever. And then all of a sudden he like fell in love with me, and then I said, I don't even want to be your friend. Like, I just want to be like, acquaintances, but like, not really. Because it was kind of like he was kind of my ex.
Kind of your ex.
Yeah, but like we dated like it was so stupid. It was like 2 weeks. It felt like and that was like 2 years ago. And I wanted a free movie, and I wanted free food. So I went to a movie. I got some breakfast. Went to the farm. Had all that, and he like wanted to hang out with me more. But even as I said, like, I don't vibe with you on the level that I hope to, it's always like I'm being a passenger to my own trips of wherever we go, and you don't really add any benefit to conversation. You don't have your own free thought, and it's kind of just boring to hang out with you. And that's, I'm saying this now, but the way I used it to him was also nicer. And then he went and back talked to my friend and said, he uses vocabulary that's so big and no one else can understand. And he thinks life is so serious and she can't be friends with me. And I was like, dude, already off of that, I don't even have to explain myself anymore, because if you think that, then, you know, you obviously don't get it. I've had a lot of that.
Yeah.
Cut people off and stuff.
How did you get into that space of wanting to cut people off?
Well, it first started with it's all a big jumble. I feel like most of my life I've always been generous with my company, mostly because I didn't really think about it. You know, oh my god. Oh, okay. I didn't really think about my company being so worthy because I didn't have anything else to do. But once I started like exploring hobbies or just like a state of mind, you kind of start to feel distant from even people closest to you, like family even, because they can't understand what you care about, and that's really important to you. You know what I mean? And so it began with that. I just cut someone off, like, officially. I was like, hey, I know that we've been best friends, and I appreciate it, but we're growing apart.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be mentally, that's a little rude, but we just were. And so and then my family thinks that I'm crazy. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. Because if like, you wouldn't know this, you wouldn't think I'm crazy, but if you got in like a tangent with me, or we just had like a conversation at home, you wouldn't think I'm crazy because you're you and you understand. But other people who aren't really in the realm of like, I wouldn't even say spirituality, but in the realm of
Mm-hmm.
truth
Mm-hmm.
about reality, they think that you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then even today, um, I still have to get out of that mindset of like just over analyzing everything. Because I was at a diner today and I over analyzed myself as a consumer because I was mad about how it was being presented to me and how we're all trapped in like paying the rate of the
Yeah.
price because it shouldn't be that expensive.
Yeah.
And then I got yelled at because I'm always doing that. Like I'm always thinking, and that's totally not what I should do because I just should just enjoy it. But like what happens is I'm supposed to think about it and let it pass on the wave. Oh, there it goes. Now I can enjoy my breakfast. But I have trouble doing that because those pancakes are so dead center.
That's funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can relate. I'm just further along in that process. And you kind of remind me of myself, but then also my friend Darcy, because like, you know, with the information that you study and when you stick yourself in this bubble, which is really good, because a lot of people don't know how to do that. Like, when I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of people. When you can stay committed and be the one person who's looked at as crazy, that shit is hard as fuck. That even goes for like all my friends, because they backstep too much or second guess or will, you know, mold into something, and it's like, at least you're not there. At least I don't think you're there. So, I mean,
But I feel like once you do that, like once you even take the first step and you start looking into something, and you just get mind blown after mind blowing, you start evaluating how you're your own problem, even if it's just in the way you react to things and how you behave. Like you can't not care about spirituality anymore. You can't not care about the truth that you think there is. You just kind of have to flow with it. It's like, so I was listening to Ram Dass and he said a friend of his, you know, went to go see a guru and he went on that path and he meditated for years, blah, 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 but then all of a sudden he found himself like in a bar and all depressed and like, I think the word is nihilistic. It's like when you don't find a point to life anymore. And so he said, no, I've stopped the spiritual path. And Ram Dass was like, you can't stop it. You just step away from it because you'll always carry that with you. And so I feel like once people do that, they're kind of stuck with that information. And it's really hard to deal with, especially when like you think of DMT and like it exposes you to and psychedelic. It's like a mind trip in your brain when you start to think about it. You just kind of get depressed, and that's one of the side effects of all those things.
Yeah, understood.
So I feel like the greatest thing to do probably is have more people educated about it. We can all be depressed.
I mean, that's why there's like communities and people and everything for sure. There's definitely levels to it, and being like where I'm at and dabbling a bit here and there in different fields, but they kind of like, you know, I've looked into spirituality, the community, the woke movement, the minimalist community, vegans, what else? Holistic health, alternative medicine. There's a few other ones. The business world, entrepreneurship world, they all kind of just share, like, everything is just fragments, right? And you can definitely get a lot from spirituality, but even at that level, and I think that there's, at that, like, it's not enough. Like, I think, say you're, you know, watching or listening to spirituality and whatever, maybe they're only good at that, but like understand absolutely nothing when it comes to, or not absolutely nothing, but aren't as well educated with food. So as I've been learning more and realizing, I'm like, oh, okay, like you're good, but your information on food's still not good enough. And I'm like, and other things, it's like for example, Real Pharmacy, which is like, I always see articles and links from them, and they always try to go against alternative medicine, conventional medicine and stuff. And they had mentioned something about Alzheimer's, and they said that it was irreversible. But according to the stuff that I've learned in different like segments, that's not true. So in holistic food health, that's not true. And then in this other guy who like studied sleep and everything, and he was like, you just have to learn like how your systems work, and if something is out of line, then you can't just, for example, you can't just eat random fruit every single day and be like, oh, I'm a vegan, I'm detoxing, I'm clean, and my Alzheimer's is gonna go away. There's still like, you have to rebuild, you have to know, right? So some people can't give that info, and so if you believe everything Real Pharmacy says, and you're like, oh yeah, shit, like Alzheimer's is like irreversible. So everything in life has shown me so far that everything is irreversible, except for a scar. But I don't know. Like when you get a scar, like it can't be anything but what that is. So you can pull a lot from different sources. And I remember hearing from this guy who was a monk, Jay Shetty. He had talked about like being, like when he talked about detachment, and he said that being away from everything just to escape reality, so you don't have responsibilities, so you don't have to deal with the real world, is no different than being fully involved in the real world. You feel like you're on opposite sides, and like, this is the bad side, I have to run away. But really, it's like this. It's the same coin. You have to live with the duality. That's real. So I don't think there's a right and wrong, because some people will choose spirituality all the way and will abandon everything. And I'm not woke enough or practice enough to know what's on the other side, really. I communicate with people who are more in touch, but to be fully immersed in spirituality and to like leave your body and whatever, and it's like, is that better? Is that what we're meant to do? It's like, but then some people say, yeah, and like some people will use that as an escape and like, oh, this is better, right? Well, the other way is like, well, you need to go like help other people, you know.
Yeah. If it's not all there, then we'll just keep repeating and be sent back until we're all there.
So
I don't even know if we're supposed to. I think we definitely have to be exposed to that. I think everyone has to know that there's alternate dimensions and alternate realities, and this is not it. And once we know that, we can stop thinking that nothing is purposeless and be set on a path to at least love and peace and you know, a kind of end to suffering. But I was just like, every time I'm like, is this realistic? Is this realistic?
well, what do you mean? Like, what's realistic?
Sad about it. It's like, will the light overcome the darkness, and will the government ultimately like be the end all to the spirituality movement? And if they're more powerful than us, or...
Oh, I mean, like, those are just questions that I guess you can ask, but you kind of just like, I've entered a space where like I've become way more direct about everything, and it's so good because it's fast. You save so much more time and you get so much more done. You become you faster, you start to realize that some of that stuff is just like whatever. It's like, it doesn't mean shit that you think about it. You just have to do something. So if I'm like, oh well, I have those same thoughts, but like, if there's acceptance that goes on, there's optimism, there's reality, whatever, and it's like, I'm gonna do what I do, and there's a possibility that I'll get killed for that. That's it. And it's kind of like, once you accept it, it's like, and you know that you're cool with that, like that is what it, there's nothing else to think about. It doesn't matter, because my objective isn't like, oh, let me take out the government or whatever. And it's like, if that is your objective, then like, you work on a plan and you go do it, and you learn about it. Yeah, it's all balance. And I think that if you're thinking the way that you're thinking, that's, sometimes people end up in that space and stay there forever, or just for a long time. Everyone's in that space for a certain amount of time, and eventually you kind of like go a different direction if you're still hungry for growth and you stay open-minded. So, because you'll start to see like biases in each community, and it's important that you just pull the favorite, like all of the favorite lessons that you like and practices, just take the ones that you like, practice and see what serves you. So like what I see you doing now, like literally, like I've done what you've done. I don't know, your degree to my degree is different. It's just the stage is like cutting off people. Did that, but I found better people at the same time while I was doing that. Family, outcast, and I didn't give a shit about family for some time. And that was also what fueled me to work hard and shit. And then being exposed to information. When you get exposed to information, it does get depressing. You're just like, oh man. So how do you know more and then build yourself up to be okay with knowing that a lot of things are messed up? Like, how do you build the stamina and build the stomach? Because it's not just ignorance and thinking the world is a good place like a lot of other people do. Or some people are like, oh yeah, the world sucks, but as long as I'm not affected directly, I'm good. And so when people reach this level, it's hard. Like, some people will get angry or will get, and those are sometimes the people that go cause a lot of trouble or just become huge doubters, or try to pass on their knowledge to people and then not know how to communicate it because they're so disconnected from reality. So, and I've always, so as I was learning, I always said to myself, I was like, I want to be great, and I want to be able to communicate at every level, because I know what it's like to be perceived as like, oh, like he's just a hippie, or like no one pays attention to you because you've let go of your image physically, or you, yeah. And it's just like when you, because your priorities change and stuff, and that's normal, that's part of it, and it depends on your mindset when you're there or your intention as you're going into it. So like for myself, it's to always like to carry what I believe in, but knowing that I do, like my character is created of just wanting to be good so that I can serve, right? And so I don't want to limit myself to who I can serve, so I'm trying to know everything that I can and know how to communicate to people at different age levels and all that stuff, experiences. So that means I still have to be really in tune with reality. I have to mold myself down to a certain level. I didn't always do that, obviously. That was the next stage. It's like, okay, I can't expect to just only be around positive people. I mean, I understand the benefits, but I also understand the negatives. And sometimes that's just being caught up in your own bubble. So like, I don't want to forget that there are people struggling, that people suck. It's like, and most people don't have the tolerance, the patience, the time to be like, how do I communicate my message to this person? If you're not at a level or a mindset to try and learn, then you're just not going to do it, which is fine. And people choose that, right? Like, oh, surround yourself with positive people. Now I just say surround yourself with people. Well, it depends on where people's at, so I give different advice. I'll say like, yeah, people who want to see you successful, but even that's not true, because like people who want to see you successful don't try to force shit on you. Be like, surround yourself with people who you want to be like. Yeah, but I also surround myself, or I'm around people who I don't want to be like. But that's just, to me, it's like going to war. It's like learning about people I don't fully understand and then trying to help people and stuff like that, having patience for them, and then seeing that like, oh, they're just hurting like everyone else, and as long as I can speak their language, I can help them get out of that place. So yeah, I've
Remember when I asked you, it was like a chill session, and then I asked you, how do you still come back down? And when I say down, I don't mean to an inferior state, like where the ignorant people are at or where the hurt people are at. How do you come back down and just be with those people
Yeah.
and not be affected by how meaningless it feels? And you do it because you're helping, but I'm not in that place where I can, it's like, if it's not helping me, or if I feel uncomfortable because
yeah
I just don't like your energy, or I just don't feel like I can
Yeah,
be
yeah.
with you, then
but I agree with that. I like my own company.
and that's really bad for me because
Okay, that's fine.
I'm still not comfortable with that. It's kind of like right now, I'm noticing that when I was in the beginning of this process, I was saying what I was saying, meaningless things, and entertaining meaningless conversations and whatever, and meaningless adventures. And
Yeah.
now it's kind of like my body's being
Yeah.
dragged into this situation, and I'm
Yeah,
not
of
passenger to what I'm saying because I'm not
Uh-huh.
saying it.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Because if I really said it from my heart, I'd be like, I don't give a shit about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm dealing with. But you can't ignore the situation
Yeah.
because it's school, and that's where my biggest problem is. Because outside of school, I can do whatever I want. I can choose whoever I want to talk to, but in a forced environment,
I mean, you could. I always say like there is no right answer. There's only skills that you want. That's so okay. So there's skills that you want, and then there's intuition. And you could say skill. So skills, goals, and intuition. So when I see something that I like, a saying or a thing, then I try to develop the skill. And I realize that like because the goal that I'm asking for requires the skill. So if you don't have the vision for it, like if you don't see yourself helping people anywhere near right now, then it's just not, that's not where you're at, and that's fine. But if it enters your brain and you're like, no, I think that's something I want to try and start doing, then now you have more of a reason to be like, okay, I'm going to stick it out when it comes to this kind of stuff and whatever. I don't want to get to me yet because I know what you asked. Yeah, you can just choose. So the ultimate thing is like, it's meaningless if you don't give it meaning. Very basic, right? So, and I've learned that if I want something, like we always say around at least our team now, like you get what you give. So if you know you're going to be in school and you're going to be in a certain environment because you choose to be, because at this age you don't have to be. I'm not pushing anything, but I'm just being realistic, because when you put yourself in a box you feel like you can't make any moves. If you're choosing to be in school, then make the most of that time. Some people don't, and that's okay. And I tried to where I could, and I saw that I gravitated towards certain areas and people more, classes, whatever. In certain classes I just wasn't feeling. And people, I was just kind of like whatever with people. So you have to choose to do that. So I would rather not feel like I'm being dragged around and feel like this is a meaningless 7 hours to insert meaning instead. Because if I'm going to be spending the time anyway, that's what I'm going to choose to do. So then it's like, that's a you thing. Like as much as your environment is putting pressure on you, it's like you can now reshape your mind and be like, all right, I'm in this territory because I choose to be, and what am I going to do? Am I just going to do that, what you've been doing, or am I going to test? Am I going to try to become greater than my environment? Am I going to try and actually study why people are in such a shitty place, and then let's see what it takes for me to pull at least one person out? Like then it's like, okay, now I have some meaning. I go into school with this like side mission, and I'm like trying to understand this and do that, because you don't have to, like, I guess, put on a face because that's what's exhausting. And then you're like, it's meaningless, that's exhausting. But if you're like, I'm gonna put on like my camouflage and I'm gonna try and figure this shit out, I'm going into territory that's not my thing, and that's mindset. So, but for me, that just comes from having, you could say, a vision, right? Having a long-term vision, or just like a certain moral code that you follow. So if I'm gonna spend time somewhere, I'll try my best to make the most of it. Most of the time, not all the time. So that counts. Because you're not always going to be in school, so then some people could say it's an opportunity. Like, alright, well then if you don't really give a shit about school, you don't give a shit about people, then why do you care how you affect them or how they affect you? Just do what you need to do. If you're going to be the one that's fucking weird as shit, but then like you're finding yourself and then people gravitate to you, like whatever, like that's cool. And that's better than kind of just blending in like everyone else and just doing nothing, passing the time. Like, you can challenge people's questions, you can call people out on their shit and whatever. It's like, it's a battleground, it's a testing ground. Like, I see my whole life is a testing ground. Like, I don't have all the answers, I play around a lot. Whenever I spend time with people, I talk to people, I'm learning as much as I enjoy it, but then I'm also learning, and then that is my knowledge. Like, that I like to learn through having conversations with people about their life, and then it teaches me the reality of stuff. I don't have to read a fucking book, I'm gonna ask the person instead what their experiences are and where. So yeah, for me to get to that place, it wasn't always like that, because I was in the place you're in now, and I would always feel that superiority too, and like would be like, oh, this sucks, and like, because the only things that I had were YouTube and dance. Like, that's all I had. And then I started playing video games, and that was kind of fun when multiplayer video games got big. So that was what helped me. And you just have to want it. If you don't want it, then you're not gonna. Like, if you want to be normal with people, like, it reminds me of Darcy, because she'll be like, oh, this drains me, that drains me. And then I'm like, oh, I'm greater than my environment, nothing drains me. I just know what I prefer. But I have, like, I can deflect energy, because I don't have to be that. Like, if I'm around a bunch of people and they're all hype, I can just be like this and be totally cool with that. It's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing, I'm just chilling. And I'll say more. You know, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not really into it. I'm like, I don't know, I just open up about stuff. But first you have to want it, then find a purpose and you attach to that. And you work towards it. But if you don't think you're in that space, then you're not in that space. Because I wasn't in that space for a few years until I accidentally stumbled upon that. And that was like, it's a combination of, so you're reflecting, which is what I did. And I was like, oh, I'm having mental breakdowns still. Why? And then it's like, oh, my friends recall all of these great memories and they feel super close to me and shit. And I'm like, I feel close to everyone, but I can't recall memories. I'm like, why? So there's a lot of like human elements that I was missing. And I was like, okay, reflect on life. What am I doing? And then like, look at what I have and what I don't have. And I'm like, okay, there's certain things that I want. So let's change things up a little bit. And then you would think like, okay, like some things will change, and the thing that you set out to get, you'll get, and sometimes you don't, or you get new things along the way, and then you also get new side effects or whatever. So yeah, I got to that place because I was examining, and then I would try different stuff, and then sometimes I would stumble upon stuff by accident. So just think of like, oh, I feel stagnant, why? And then I just make a change. So I felt like I was too robotic and too whatever. I was like, oh, I don't know what being present means. I don't know how to be emotional. I can't freestyle and have emotion like everyone else. Like, there's just certain things, and you see that roof and you're like, okay, that's my limitation. Like, what do I have to change in order to get to that place? And I started digging into my past. Because, okay, see, one of my thoughts and sayings was before, I was like, oh, I don't judge people on their past. And I know that people don't like to talk about their past, so I'm not ever going to bring it up. So I only talk about now and the future. So then I became now in the future. So I never looked at I forgot about my past, really. And then I would only see people for who they are now. Because growing up, when I picked up that information, I'm like, oh yeah, people don't like talking about their past because I guess it hurts and they cry. But then I learned that that's actually a really important element of just being a person, and that life kind of just showed me that. And then I realized, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not even close to my friends because I don't know who they are, I don't know where they come from, I don't know what they do. Then I started learning about people one by one. I was like, oh my god, like I would have never known that. Then I just like got really interested in learning people's stories. And then I learned how to move past, like I don't like small talk either. That's why I would never answer text for small talk. Or I would end the conversation without even saying bye. You'd be like, what's up? Not much. I'm done. I'm not even replying. I'm done. I'm like, the fuck you trying to do? When I started entertaining that and I started taking some risk and getting smarter about what I asked and stuff, I started getting some real answers. People start opening up, you start learning more about people. So it's an entire journey that some things kind of just showed me by accident. But it all comes with wanting to grow and having a big vision. No.
I'm going to. You know what's going to be in mind? Okay, first, I'll go in order. Let me just go in order. Because you're in a place of like feeling superior, and I always associated that attitude with how I'm feeling, but I knew it was only because I'm watching all this suffering going on. That doesn't. It's like an illusion. Desires.
Yeah.
So, and it's only because I'm seeing it as suffering. If I was in their shoes, in my state of mind now, why would I want this? And so you just keep on seeing all these things like, oh, I wish I could get out of class. And like, are you serious? They're giving you lessons. They're giving you information you didn't know. Or like someone's like, oh, what should I do for my 18th birthday party? And I'm like, I don't care. Go to the beach or something. And they're like, it's like you're absorbing all of these mindsets, and I still can't accept the part where I need to move past it, to accept that people are going to go through these desires until they're done, or until they come across the information that they need to come across in order to overcome that and focus on bettering themselves. And it's like I don't feel superior, but I feel like bad. I'm just like a sponge of suffering. That's the first one. Then the second one, I forgot about this one. Let's move on to the third one. So I always thought that like whenever you'd say something, I would observe how people react to it and be like, oh, or like you were really blunt with someone and you told them like you need to get your shit together. They take it as constructive criticism and they're all for it and whatever. When I do the same thing, I can't have the same energy as you because well, when I do and I'm gonna say what I want to say and the way I want to say it. Because everyone wants to persona, I'm going to say how I want to say it. I can't do it. You know why? Because I'm wanting something that I can't even do. I'm wanting something that I still want. Once, and it was like a story about Ramdas. Someone his guru, and the woman told the guru, tell my son to stop eating rice. And then he said, have your son come back a week later. And then he made this whole entire trip back to the guru, and the guru was like, stop eating rice. And the woman was like, why couldn't you say that a week ago? And he said, because I haven't stopped eating rice. And so I'm still wanting these things that I can relate to because other people want it, and I haven't cut it off yet. And so that's why they're responding the way they're responding, crazy. They're like, can't you just stop complaining for a second? Or maybe tell me I overanalyze and I'm not present in the moment because, well, that's true. I can't be present because there's too much suffering going on in people's heads that they can't even see suffering. But now I just realized that you've moved past that part where you've really organized the structure of your life where you can get that type of response. People like listen. When I say it, people just I just have to change myself. And I didn't even know it was myself that was the problem. I thought it was everyone else. I just realized this right now and I'm so mad.
I feel you on that. It's okay. A lot of us generally are just misunderstood. You know what I mean? Yeah, it takes time.
Like, I heard about that story and I was like, okay, I'll work on myself, but the dots to connect with the way I give criticism to people or try and like share their knowledge on something, and they take it as me just trying to tell them what I know, and it's not going to help them in their life.
Yeah, it's always...
That dot didn't connect, but it did now.
That's very true.
Half the other
and so this again, this problem is like, it'll always come down to like yourself, but it just reminds me directly of Darcy because she was having those frustrations and she would talk to me about it and whatever, and I was like, you have to remember that like we all consume information differently. So for example, some people might be into what we're doing right now. Not everyone though. Some people will be in a mindset of like, oh, this is whack, like talking about your feelings or whatever their perceptions are. Some people would rather go watch comedy or go watch Netflix or whatever. So the important thing is like, where do people spend their time and their attention, right? So you have to learn that, and then that jumps into psychology, and then it jumps into business and marketing, and you're like, that's why I'm so into all that stuff, because it's just interconnected. Everything is just like a manifestation of human, because everything we consume for the most part is human stuff, and it's just, it all started here and it manifested into real life. So then you have to pay attention to all the most popular things: Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, Instagram, Netflix. Like, yeah, sure, there's like they're brain hacking you and whatever, but pay attention to this type of stuff they consume. It's like, oh, why are they into this garbage shit, whatever, right? And it's just because there's a science to it. And so if you know that someone is, so like, say, so someone doesn't take my message the way I'm delivering it, but they'll take it from Kevin Hart through comedy. They'll get the same message, but they'll take it from Kevin Hart, right? And it's like, because everyone has a different style of how they like to hear information, and that's just kind of how it is. And so like Kevin, when he realized like, if it wasn't for dance, then like his current life at this moment wouldn't have evolved into what it's becoming, because dance is his language. He doesn't care what comes out of your mouth, right? But as long as he keeps an open mind, and the fact that dance drew him in first, that's the platform of dance allowed him to be extra open to now receiving information. But so that's why it's like, what I'm doing, it's like I can only affect so much people doing a dance convention and having a dance crew. So I've built a lot of foundation there to prove worth, right? And that's legacy, that's reputation, that's respect. And it's like, in this world where everything is biased towards what you do, not what you say, right? No one cares what you say. It depends on what you're doing. If you can show for, whether it's stuff or just like you, and they're like, wow, they're glowing, like that literal thing, then it's easier to hear them out. People listen to people with money, like people listen to people who look glamorous or whatever it is that they feel like they want in themselves. So, and then I'm just jumping into myself, like I'm doing the dance stuff, but I'm gonna obviously jump into other lanes because I want to be able to communicate this message through all of the most popular mediums. Like, you just have to. And you know that everyone listens to music, so like it's important that I work with artists that make music and that are good and that can capture attention and then divert their attention into things that are important, and people to do it the right way. So it just takes time. So if you're like, oh, I want to learn how to communicate to people better, then you have to learn what it takes to be that. And you can learn a lot from how you feel about people and how people feel about you, and then you learn how to like deconstruct that relationship and see how you can make it where you can reverse that, and where it's like, oh wow, it's so great. And sometimes it takes molding. So I'll give you an example. You could play fake, and I'm not like, if you're so like you mold yourself into who they are and what they're doing, right? That is important because you can't, like for example, you can't walk into a hood ass school being some rich, like say everyone there is like black and Asian, you come in here and you're fucking white and you don't speak their language and you're giving them information. That's cool. I don't know how strong the impact will be or whatever, but then if you have someone who goes up there and it looks like them and it can speak their language and understands what they're going through, or can make that assumption, bring that vibe, then they're more likely to listen and to try. That's just like science. It's very basic stuff. So then if you're gonna talk to someone who seems like they know nothing about life and they're kind of just like everybody else, you'd have to go down to their level, have conversations at that level, and then learn how to evolve the conversation. So that's where like patience and time comes. Like you can't jump straight to what you want to talk about. If they're like, oh, what should I do for my birthday? Engage in the conversation. But that like everything is an opportunity. So it's like, all right, I can say some basic bitch stuff, or I can say some kind of extravagant cool things, right? Because the importance is like how you make people feel is key, right? So if you're like, oh, she's listening to me, these are things that you don't think of that are extremely important to winning people over. It's like, oh, they're listening to me, which a lot of teenagers in general take for granted anyway, but they're listening to me, they're engaging in conversation with me, they're giving me their time, whatever. You're doing a lot of basic stuff. And then that's your window to then penetrate and evolve the conversation, try and take it to a better place. Like if people complain too much, then it's like, oh, it could be like, damn, we just had like a long conversation about just complaining, like, or something, like, oh, we didn't, I was like, oh, like, do you feel better? Like, oh, we didn't really get anything done. I think we should focus more on the solution instead of like us complaining about stuff, because that doesn't get us anywhere, you know what I mean? And then it's like having talks like, like, I don't know, I just know how to do it because every person's different, but you have to know how to speak someone's language and then pull them out, not the opposite. But that's if you want the skill, and that's going to take time. And you practice, which is, again, you can practice in high school while you're still here, and you have an opportunity to just talk to a bunch of random ass people. And then for me, it's like with the time and the wisdom that I've gotten, it's realizing that people don't even speak their truths. People are just kind of like saying a bunch of random shit that is a reflection of them internally that they like kind of hide from, because they don't talk about the important stuff, like no one. And so I don't know, I've been aware of that kind of stuff since I was 14, 16, I want to say 16, more aware, and I've been working towards it since. Like, people don't always listen. Like, when I was in high school, I would give advice, people don't listen. Like, just don't. But that's because there's a lack of just knowledge, and realizing that you have to be things, not just say things. You have to do things. So building credibility is really important. Affecting one person at a time is really important. So then if that's why I said, like, examine your relationships and stuff. You look at our relationship and like, how do we get to this place, and why do we feel certain ways towards each other? Why did I sign up for this stream, and why do I choose to support him, and all these things, right? You could take that entire journey as a lesson and use it as a blueprint. You're like, okay, this is what worked for me to build a relationship with someone that I respect. Then if you're like, well, I want to replicate that, but like I switch roles where I'm Vitana and I find a Visal. Like, how did that happen? And then you go back in time and you see how it played out. So it's like the lessons are all over the place. You just have to make sure you look at them and you pick a goal and you focus. Because I'm only focused on very specific stuff right now that are like, I have a huge one and I look at it every day, but I have to break it down into smaller ones of like, I'm doing a tour and that's important. I need to open up this dance lane and create this avenue because I need to attract more people into this world, and put on a lot of the best people and build legacy and like sponsor, like it's a financial pathway. It's like, okay, after I do this tour, like, what's next? Music. And after music, it's like, now we need to jump into another lane. So you just have to pick stuff that you want to concentrate on and what skills you want to develop. And it sounds like you want to help people or just be less annoyed by people. But I guess the goal to being less annoyed is to switch your mindset on how you see it all. And so my solution was, everyone's hurting, and they're just waving their branches around. They're not talking about their roots. That's why I don't really get annoyed. I'm just like, I see where it comes from. I'm like, oh, you crack all the jokes because you hurt the most. Like, it's easy. You try to make light of every situation, even when it's almost semi-serious, because something happened to you, and you, or like maybe that's how you dealt with pain your whole life. You try to, and so when you look around and you see that kind of stuff, like, it's true. Like, what's his name? He's in like P-Dat's friend group and stuff. I forget. He's like big. I don't know. I forget his name. A big dude. He's dark. Devin, right? I'm like, oh yeah, chill. He's a chill guy, right? That's what I see at the surface. But I know right away, because of experience, and when you examine people and you start understanding patterns, I'm like, yep, they're all of them are hurting. They're all lost in different ways. Like I'm like, oh, Devin's a softie. I could tell. And then so one time he got hypnotized at our family event, and he was about to bawl his eyes out. So what happened was Tony made them go under, and they were hypnotized, and he said, the person in front of you could be whoever you want to talk to, whoever you want to see, whatever. When I snap my fingers, boom. And as soon as he, where everyone had different reactions. It was Henrique, Malik, and Devin. Henrique just shot right up and hugged the shit out of the person, didn't let go. Malik kind of was just like this. But Devin was doing the whole, like, the sound effects of like about to like hardcore cry, like, and like whatever. And you could see it in his face, which is completely frowned. And then he was about to lose it, but then Tony just turned it off. And so after that moment of being vulnerable, right, everyone was like, oh, like, what's wrong? Because he didn't know why he was crying. And like, he was like, oh, what the hell? And they were just like, the cousins and stuff were just saying like, oh, like, if you ever need to talk to us about anything, like, talk to us. And he's like, what are you talking about? And it's like, that's the kind of stuff that people go around, like, if you think of yourself as a tree, right, your roots are very deeply embedded. There's trauma, and there's memories that make you. But people just go around with their branches. They don't talk about the core of their personality. They'll be it and then make excuses for it. And sometimes they don't even share it. Like, you'll start to pick up on like, oh, they have like OCD, or like they hate when you do this, or they don't like when you do that, or they love when you do this. But then when you ask them where it comes from, no one asks that. Like, well, why are you this way? Or like, why does that make you so happy? And then they'll start going into their past. And then you start to like, oh, that's why they always give really tight hugs. That's why every time I ask for a favor, she can actually deliver. She's loyal. But usually people stop at, oh, she's loyal, I like her. But it's like, well, why is she loyal? What happened to her when she was younger? Did her parents teach her how to be that way? Or did she never had it, and then she wanted to be it? You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what interests me. And so even though people are like throwing their branches around, I'm like, oh, fuck your branches. I don't give a shit about your branches. I'll talk to you about it, but then we're going to go deep real fast. And I've learned how to do that over time. And it's usually not against someone's will. And sometimes I just challenge, but the energy that I bring, it's like, okay, people don't want to talk. So I'm like, okay, then I have to talk more. Let me talk about my flaws and insecurities, what I'm working on. People never talk about what they're working on. They'll just say, yeah, I have this job, this house, this dog, some stuff with like these people. But no one's like, so I have this problem with eating, and I don't eat enough, or whatever. Or like, I have like insecurities about, like, no one talks about that shit. So then I come out and people are like, what the fuck, like, what are you talking about? So I'd be like, I'm currently working on how to be more affectionate with people, because I feel like I grew up in a community, in a family that wasn't like that. And so I don't know what it means to be affectionate, or how to take initiative, or how to do this, or how to do that. So I had to be aware of that for myself, and then I tell them I'm working on it, and then I'll see what their response is, and I'm like, so we're like playing tag here. And sometimes when you open up, people are more willing, because like, wow, they just told me something that I would never tell anybody. Like, what the fuck? I want to be like that. Or like, where does that strength come from? Or I talk about, yeah, they'll be like, how are you? I'm like, I'm fucking happy as hell. I'm working on this and this and this and this and this and this, and I'm pumped. You don't hear that. People are just like, oh, I'm good. I'm fine. See, and it throws people off because, like, one, like, even if you're not good, but you talk in detail, but then as you're talking in detail, you're paying attention to the body language to see, do they want to hear this right now or not? But then when I took a speech class, it taught me what my speaking style was, and then I started to learn more through YouTube. I was like, I'll do stuff like, why am I entertained by watching this person talk to me? I was like, oh, they sound genuine. And then if they're an artist or whatever, like you listen to rap, it's like, oh, having punchlines and like having your voice go up and down, and like when you can do that, it's entertainment. So if you want to have conversations, sometimes you got to be entertaining. So like there's so many elements that you can pull, because like being blunt and just talking like this all the time isn't always effective, and I've tried that, and what happens is sometimes people get sleepy because they like the sound of my voice. No, but I'm just saying. So like sometimes it just depends on the person. So sometimes I'm just like completely soft spoken for the person. Other times I just have like higher energy because I need to be, or if I get excited. So there's lots of molding and kind of like adjusting to the person to then be able to have dialogue with them that makes sense, right? Relate to them. The more I keep myself updated by talking to people, I have an idea of what's going on. I can make an assumption about most college kids. I'm like, do you hate life? Do your parents tell you to go to school? Like, that's so known. It's so easy. So then if I can relate to that, and then also be like, yeah, I went and then I left, but I'm happy as fuck. And I'm not even there. And I'm not scared and I don't have a degree. And they'll be like, tell me more. Like, I want to know more. So action is really important, which is why I continue to educate myself, and that's what you're doing too. But if you continue, like if you educate yourself on reality, that helps a lot, because you have to draw like or you have to make the bridge. Because if you can talk about woke shit to woke people, and you'll get somewhere, but how do you bring that message down to someone who's normal? And then you realize you operate in this normal world, so you don't want to fucking hate it. So then you have to learn how to deal with the reality that mad stuff is like bullshit, and that the suffering pisses you off, it drives you crazy. That's what it does to me. It also fuels me. Everything fuels me, like good energy, positivity, love. People talk shit, people are, I don't know, and anything negative, that shit fuels me, whether it's something that doesn't happen to me directly or something that happens to me directly. And I've learned how to convert that energy into just work, which is my favorite line now, is just like, I don't complain, I just work. And work just literally means just doing something to change something. Because people like to complain about whatever it is that I do. I'm like, my favorite answer to that is always, it's a you problem, not a me problem. I'm living my best life, and I try to keep an open mind all the time, open to criticism all the time. I keep myself in check by looking at all my flaws. You're doing that, which is good. Yeah.
I'll do what you said. I just kind of didn't have like that faith that I'd have a conversation that meant anything right off the bat, and so I just cut off the possibility, and I was like, okay, when is this conversation over so I can go on my laptop and like, do me. But I never like saw it as an opportunity. I just saw it as like another.
No, I know that, but that's why. So I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Especially, if you try this in high school, it's super.
And I definitely at your age, I just wasn't shit. But like if I had the mind I have now when I was in high school, it'd be so different. So different. Now, 25. I used to think that shit was old. Just doesn't change. No, I know people don't really give a shit, but that's why you have to learn how to market like the best. See, I'll jump to that too. I'm like, what do they give a shit about? And then you examine, they were marketed to, I have to be like that. You get people's attention the same way. It's so crazy. But that's only if you want to get to that place. You don't have to. Some people kind of just ride out high school and then they wait. I'm confused. Hello, cousin.
My cousin.
Yeah, I know.
She's like, who's that? I'm doing like a stream about life, I guess. She just rolled her eyes. See?
How old is she? Like 12?
She thought it was stupid. No, she's 19.
It's marketing.
She's not really like a
In monk school, the first thing you are taught is how to breathe.
They get down to
In every other school, you're taught numbers and letters.
and she's not like that.
When you learn about stuff like that, you're just like, well, why would you teach someone how to breathe? So you can teach them how to deal with every situation that happens in their life. So you become conscious of your breathing and you're like, wow, I'm not breathing enough. Or like, whoa, my breathing is like, but then if you're like, that's a core skill that's very important. So we're taught a lot of things wrong. If people don't give a shit about deep stuff, it's because they'd rather, it's too much, right? Some people get overwhelmed by how much it is that they just crash and burn. They're not willing to cry. They're not willing to be upset. They don't want to work through their problems, so they keep piling it up. And then they're okay. And then the thing is, you can have so many perspectives. I could be empathetic and be like, I get it. Or I could be like, well, that's a dick move because you're going to blow up on somebody else. Or you're going to be miserable and then treat other people like shit because you don't know how to work through your problems. So it's like, I get inspired by everything.
So another breathing thing, I noticed my breathing when I walked in school, and before I went to school, I was like, okay, it's gonna be another day. Just get it over with. I know that I don't care about the way people perceive me anymore, and I know I'm gonna have to face a lot of people that I don't vibe with no more. And I did last year, and had to like say hi to them and be like, you know, whatever. But then when I walked into school, my breathing was, and my heart was like beating. I was like, I don't care about any of you mother truckers. Why am I like, why is my
that's dope.
my heart beating? And I couldn't realize it because I knew I couldn't possibly care about what people think of me, or like if I'm dressing the right way or if I'm fitting in. I don't. I can say that genuinely. But I don't know where it came from. It's just like that primitive reptilian side of my brain of like being accepted.
Yeah.
Being the person that I was last year, who's always like wearing something cool.
Yeah.
Or being the hype of the hallway and like loud. I couldn't like
Yeah.
who I was before. Like I couldn't do that. Because I was so attached to it last year that now I kind of felt like gravitated to do that again. But I just fought.
Yeah.
I just fought the whole way through, and I was like, I'm so glad this is over. And then I was so tired after the first day because, like, the emotional drainage, it wasn't physical, but I slept like a baby. It was just a lot. I guess you can get rid of it no matter how much you don't care.
I just wouldn't give a shit about anything.
Now it's fine. A couple days passed.
Like, at all.
It would be interesting if you went to high school again for like a week. I'm lucky, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like a bummer. I sound like a bummer. I'm thinking about like my life. I'm such a bummer. No, I have fun.
Yeah.
That's my own insecurities. I'm like, you didn't even say anything, but I'm like
People.
thinking about like, oh my god, I just.
It takes time. Like, it's
I do get a
okay.
little bit because
Yo, okay. Fast forward. Like,
people think
mad people who I went to high school with. Lots of them
sad because
are off the radar, basic as fuck, basic beyond basic, and have learned little to nothing in like self progression and happiness. Right? Career, nothing. Then some people are recovering and are doing really good things and are on their way to do that. Some people have like health, music, art, like professionals like who are killing it, and it's like it just plays down to that. So it doesn't really matter. I don't know. I know being in that environment's hard, and it's fine to have that feeling and trust. Like I mean, I come across certain things and certain feelings that I have to learn how to deal with too, because I'll be like, there's that feeling that's coming up, and I'm just like, it's okay. I'm playing the long game, right? So I have my things that I say to myself. I'm like, so much so that it eventually becomes habit. If the feeling occurs, I just do it again and practice it every day. So that's why like when I say stuff, when I write stuff, it's a reminder to me. I read it more than once. I say it. I talk to people about it. That's practice. People don't get that. Like I'm saying it, I'm doing it, I'm living it, I'm typing it, I'm putting it in videos. And that's practice because I'm brainwashing myself the same way I was brainwashed. Like that's just how it works because that's part of being human. So maybe if you're not doing stuff to reinforce what you believe in, you just have to keep doing it until you feel normal and you can accept certain things. But you don't have... Go ahead.
I think I do that on a subconscious level. I just like love Ram Dass. I want to get a tattoo of his whole entire face on my back. I love him so much because when I'm thinking, when I have that feeling, I just contemplate it, and I'm like, why? I know I don't care, but why is it happening? And then I think this is all cosmic humor, and like, oh, I should. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
And I should just
balance.
be happy. But then,
like, it's okay, because like if maybe you weren't in your head a lot before, and you're trying to balance that out.
A lot. And I'm really actually living.
Like I'm way more present now than I've ever been. It's so different because you trade that. So like I'm not as analytical or observant as I'm not even as I feel. I'm trying to like word it in the way that makes sense because I can say it used to be. I can be as observant and analytical as I want, but once you get that level, which is basically the avatar level of you can pick. So what I like to say is when you truly become an observer of your thoughts and you realize your thoughts are just thoughts and you just get to step away and pick what you want to do, whether it's let your ego jump in or let your spirituality, like the road of spirit, jump in, whatever you want to do, or you want to fuse the two. Even though like spirituality, from what I've read before, it's like you try to kill the ego. Even someone I look up to and respect talks about killing the ego, but she defines it in a different way. People are like, oh, the ego's bad, or it's like it's only good for survival and this and that. And I'm like, well, the ego is good in hip-hop, it's good in battles, it's good in performance art, it's good in telling a story, it's good in using that as fuel to go. So it's like, that's why to me, once I found it out for myself by living it, where I removed ego and I was passive, I was chill, people could talk to me, I wasn't telling people what to do in any way, I wasn't motivating people, I wasn't doing any of that shit, no fire, right? Just chilling, like a lot of people just chilling. When I tried to get back to the other thing, I was like, it was a process because once you don't do something for a while, it's weird. But when I would perform and stuff, I was just like, I don't feel anything. I'm like, I'm just moving because I'm so spiritual. I don't feel shit. Or I feel a lot of emotions. I would feel like sad or whatever sometimes, and then I would also then just feel nothing. And eventually, when I like tapped into ego, I was like, oh yeah, holy shit. I felt fire, and I was like, okay. And then you combine it with like, well, I'm not cocky, and I don't have ego for myself necessarily. I just use it as a tool for power that is used to send a message. So I'll have those moments where like when I do share things, which I don't know what you see, but you'll see like I break down everything and I'm like super like more on like the mellow or like motivational, empathetic side emotions, and other times I'm like, I'm the best. I never say that. I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna work my ass off, and like people suck ass, and like that is that duality, right? The acceptance that both exist. Not, oh, I have these thoughts, I'm gonna suppress them, and I'm only gonna do this. That's not how it works, because you're human. So you decide to embrace the duality that is both. When you can embrace and accept instead of like punish yourself for having thoughts and shit, you're just like, that's part of the human experience. Like that acceptance then develops more patience, and you're like, oh, everyone else is like that too. So whenever I talk about duality, I'm like, don't beat yourself up for being this way or that way. It's like, that's normal. If you can feel that, then that's normal. It's part of the human condition, right? If you're not meant to be bulletproof, you're not meant to be bulletproof, because that's not the human condition. The human condition is that you can be numb or you can feel everything. It's part of the condition. But you can choose once you reach a certain level of like consciousness and mastery, but you also have to practice. So I've been on different sides of the scale, and I've played with being like somewhat controlling on an artistic level, and like mad and wanting things to be a certain way, and like getting upset when things don't get that way, to being like, well, fuck all of that and let's go to this side, and having like all the opposite of that, and you're like, well, not happy with that either, and then you're just like in the middle, and you go like this a lot. Or sometimes you have to do this, and you come back and you have to do this, and then you can do it on command. And you find that balance. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm finally embracing what it means to be balanced, what it means to be yin and yang, what it means to be fire, earth, water, wind, like whatever you want to call it, or to have all of my chakras aligned. It's like, it's part of it. So like, instead of being upset that you're upset, which is stupid, just be upset and know then the conscious and woke spirit, respectful part of you, the self-love, will be like, oh, I see that you're upset right now, or you're choosing to be upset, and that's okay, but you'll get over it. Versus like, oh, I'm such a dumbass, like it's not even a big deal, why did I get upset for? Like, yeah, you're keeping yourself in check, but you're putting yourself down at the same time. It's not, there's no point. You should just be like, oh, the thought of putting myself down is coming, and I've chosen to embrace it because it's part of the human condition. Like, that's the type of shit I'll say to myself, and I'm just like, oh well, and then it passes, or I choose to like, all right, that's enough being like this, I'm gonna now switch that energy up, because I'm like, I'm grateful, I don't need to be like a bitch right now, and like I have things to do. And yeah, I don't remember how I got into that, but balance is everything, and there's no one way to do anything. And then I was gonna say, you should, if you don't already, because you're listening to Ram Dass, you should also listen to Gary Vee.
I listened to his podcast, but I'm not really in a position to like take advantage of what he's saying, because I feel like
Okay.
two podcasts I listened to were so technical
Yeah.
and so detailed.
Some people just
about
don't,
certain
either
aspects
at
of
all or like
that
not
it
at
just,
first.
like,
I like waited to listen to him
like, how
because I was like
nothing
not in that
evolving,
mindset
but
to take on what he
yeah,
was
listen.
saying yet. But then when I got into it, I was like, okay, I fuck with it. Because he's a different version of like Ram Dass. And that's weird to say, but it's like, if everyone is on this path of self-love and like being a good person and stuff, it's all the same shit. It's just what field you like to place yourself in. He's an entrepreneur, so he's going to do it that way, and however feels authentic to him. But if Ram Dass is chill as fuck and has done it spiritually like that, that's cool too. And I'm trying to be like in the middle of knowing how to be on both sides, and that's what's worked for me, because I just want to be like that and understand the benefits of it, and it feels good. So like I don't feel like I'm playing. I feel that the vision has led the way, and now I'm just being authentic. And I realized through personal practice that being too passive is being too passive and chill and stuff. People take advantage of you. Even people who you, and they don't take advantage of you in a way that's like bad necessarily, but it's just more like people take you for granted, and you're accessible and you're always there for them. You see, if I'm always, so now how I'm trying to brand myself, it's like, yeah, I want to be accessible and present for you, but I can't always be that way. I don't know, it's just a balance that you find for yourself. And so if you can expose yourself to, because I see Gary Vee and what he does as grounded, he's in tune with the system. That's why I would say that, like business and being in tune with people our age and like older folks, and like being this person. And he says a lot of things like self-awareness and like stop thinking like you think too much, or like everything is your fault, so then you have to take responsibility for it, or don't complain, or be grateful that you're not ranked number 7 billion in the world, or this and that. So it's like he says those same things in human ways. So and then that just teaches strategy, like, okay, so he's this way, and this guy says it this way, and I'm like, who else can I learn from that speaks differently?
Yeah. I don't think I would recommend his podcast though.
That I posted?
For people who are in business. And not for people who are just trying to learn about stuff. But like you said, it was like this. You know what I think about a lot?
Wait, I what? Sorry, you like...
Yeah.
Okay.
It was when like
Oh yeah,
something
yeah.
happens to you, you're just like, I see you. I think about that a lot. You said when something bad happens to you, or like you're tested.
Oh, I don't do that. I actually don't really question that much. I just be like, oh, of course it had to happen. I was like, all right, and then it just, because I jumped to solution right away into the root. So instead of being like, why? I think I do ask that for half a second and then jump straight to, oh, okay, I know why. It's simple. So like when I get my car towed, I'm like, my dumbass should just paid attention more. Like I need to not think that I can just get away with shit like that. So I need to pay attention. I need to be observant and not always so present in the conversation that I just drive up to the parking lot and just park and not think to have to do anything. Just dumb stuff like that. Or like, oh, I'm keep losing money. That means I need to make more. Like, that's all it is. So I've dealt with friends recently, like, oh, like I owe money, or like I just got a ticket, or this and this and that. Like one of my friends got, I think, over $100 or $200 something worth of tickets in one day, and she was like really upset about it. And I was like, girl, that's fine that you're upset, right? See, I'm letting her do that. I'm not saying that she's stupid or like being upset with her. I'm just like, it's cool that you're mad or whatever. It's fine. It's normal. Because you have to acknowledge and let people, like, okay, people want to be understood, right? That's a fucking hack. People want to be understood, so you just always validate everything that they're doing, so they don't feel like they're crazy. So you're like, yeah, it's cool, but let's focus on the solution. Or some, like, I'll jump around from like being kind and empathetic to like, okay, maybe that's not working in the moment. Like, let's just be, well, I guess the universe is trying to send you a message. And she was like, what message? And she's like, I don't understand. Da, da, da. I'm like, she's obviously like, you're being. Like, look at how you're acting. Like, you don't know how to handle a situation like this. You're not built for it. Like, and this is what people don't think about, especially if they're ambitious. I'm like, how the fuck are you supposed to handle being your own boss and shit if you freak out over a ticket? Like, that's what people don't think about. I'm like, I don't have the time or the capacity to lose my mind over something stupid like that. Because the solution is, be careful next time, make more money. That's it. My friend who's trying to sell his truck, I was like, how much you selling it for? I was like, $1,700. I was like, okay. And he's like stressing, right? Are you trying to sell this damn truck, whatever? And I'm like, my guy, how much do you make an hour? I was like, all right, you have to put in 60 hours. That's it. I'm like, suck it up. Make 60. And then I'm like, and then he has a problem with like his parents or whatever. It's like, it's either you let your parents keep the car or you go make your money and whatever you need to do. I'm like, to focus on a solution. Like, be innovative. Sitting here and being like, not doing anything doesn't fucking help the car sell. I was like, rent the car out, or just work, and then the money, that amount of money won't matter, because the amount of time you spend stressing, 2-3 hours, whatever, you could be working, or you can be happy. Like, it's all a choice. The universe, yeah, shitty things still happen to me, and it's fine. The universe is also very kind to me. People give me shit all the time and pay for my stuff and like give me food, all of that. And it's like, I know that doesn't happen a lot for other people. I never ask either. I know before I'd be like, oh no, don't do that for me. Now I'm just like, okay. I was like, you want to do that? That's cool, thank you. And I realized that it's just like, because there's an abundance of that. Not like a lot where I'm like eating, but it's like, it happens way more than it's ever happened in my life, mixed with like positive remarks, and like that I helped someone, or I got someone to think, or someone's reaching out for help. I'm like, that's literally what I want my life to be, at a high scale. That's like part of it, like whatever, but you have to kind of live those things. And it's just amazing, because like all I really do is just be myself and just be honest and try to help people, whatever, like, and it's cool. It's fucking cool. And that's like the good stuff, and sometimes the bad stuff happens. Like most recently, so I'm gonna tell you directly what happened. It's gonna be filmed because it's being filmed right now. So I helped with Lobster Fest, right, Tyler? Mm-hmm. With volunteers and everything, and I had agreements and things with my uncle. But then my mom told me that like all the adults were like saying stuff, and like how my uncle did it for me because my friends didn't have money to go to Lobster Fest, so they volunteered so they can get free food. Oh, what? Oh, you should tell me about it, because I want to know more details that I might not know. Was it Pishni's mom?
Yeah.
Because she said something. Okay.
Okay, so basically, that was a comment that one person said. I'm not gonna think that, but it was kind of like a humorous take.
Was it?
No, it was
That's
like
nice.
behavior. No, it was.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I pretty much got the gist of everything. And so now it just. Okay, the first I was gonna say that like universe, right? So I stepped in, or I said I was gonna step in last year, because I had learned how people give my uncle crap for not making money, stressing them out because they have to do all these things and whatever. And I was like, my mom complained too, and like, hey, he makes no money, da da da. And I was like, let me help. Like, let me help run stuff. Like, let me give us some structure, how some people do things, volunteer, whatever. Time comes around and we talk about agreements. This is the most important part that only me and him would know. But it's only verbal agreement. Like, we're gonna do shifts, 9 to 12, 12 to 3. This is their job. And we set up the volleyball stuff. People did that, whatever. But we never came to a clear understanding or agreement. That my mom said like, oh, I didn't help clean and whatever, and I'm like, they signed up from 9 to 12 and 12 to 3. That would mean some people would come, do their thing, and at some point would bounce. Not stay until the event is over and then help clean things up. That was the agreement, and that they would get food. And that happened. I got 7 people. And then there were other random ass people that I don't know. It's just, my uncle made 40 shirts. Don't know why he did that either. And then, which, I don't know, maybe he organized something himself. And there was other people that volunteered. I don't know. That's not me, but maybe that got bunched in with me. I don't know. Because I had my 7 people who did what they were supposed to do. And the only people that were like actually bad at their job was like Audrey, Chandra, and my brother just came late. So it's like, but my people were there and they did what they were supposed to do, and they did it very well. And it's like, and I communicated to them what was explained to them. So whether it was the communication not being clear between me and my uncle, or assumptions were made of what a volunteer should be or what they should do, that's all wrong. Okay? Assumptions are not good. Okay? So I was like, 9 to 12, 12 to 3, that's their shift, that's it. And then we agreed on 7 people. I know I wanted more people originally because I was like, I want to be thoughtful of what's happening. Like if someone needs to take a piss, or if someone is freaking out at the table and they need help and they need to reach someone. So I had like, I think maybe double of what, like maybe 14 originally. And I was like, all right, we don't need that many people after Pachet said. I was like, okay, it's cool. Down to 7, cool. So basically we did what we were asked and we did it. Okay. Any other expectations or something that people had? Wrong. And then if it came out of my uncle's mouth, the fact if he said like, oh, volunteers, because like he did it, I was told that he was open to having Ryan's friends be volunteers because they couldn't afford to go to Lobster Fest. Okay? And I'm like, no. Mm-hmm.
No, I was there for the whole conversation. I was in the conversation. So, we were talking about how after everything had happened, and no one knew that there were shifts. No one knew that the volunteers like were done with a shift and then they're done. So we were all angry at the fact that the adults were cleaning up, and then anything that happened after 3 didn't happen. Volunteers, right? And that was your agreement, so no one knew that. So we thought the volunteers would help out with everything, and so when that conversation started about the volunteers, Jet didn't say that. Someone else said that. I'm not gonna say it. Someone else said that, and then because they had said that, everyone thought it was true. And then they just had a conversation about how that's not true because they do have money. But you know how like adults have conversations just to have conversation. It's like not focused on the truth. So that had happened. It was a whole big mess. But Buchet was kind of like dilly-dallying, and literally the whole organization part, he didn't listen. Tell people about organizing the event the way that it should be organized and whatever. And it was basically just about like losing a bunch of money when he could have organized and planned better. Yeah, but someone else said that. It didn't come from Buchet. But there was a common understanding that no one knew there were shifts, and that
So did Buchet not say anything about that, or like he just kind of like was whatever about it, like he assumed too?
Stopped eating but there was just like a bunch of trash left, and all the adults had to pick up. But we didn't know that the volunteers had a shift.
Oh, like okay, so they gave him shit, right? They still gave him shit.
Buchet, I felt like he was going to cry. At that point, he was completely under fire for absolutely everything.
Yeah,
No, this is a whole nother level. Like I felt like we needed a camera crew, like to record everything. But kind of like.
Yo, if I was there, ain't nobody shoot me down.
Yeah, and he really didn't say anything.
No, you see, I've stood up to my family. I stand up to all of them. You don't understand. If I'm right, I'm right. And it doesn't matter what I'm saying now, but if I was in the situation, I would be like, hold up. This is the best it's ever been. Can we acknowledge that? Is that a fact? Thank you. Did I say I was going to help volunteer? Where has everyone else been for 15 years? Okay? So the fact that I was like, it's been 15 years, Buchet still does everything alone, and there's nothing that's done formally. And I was like, all it took was for the outcast nephew to jump in to try and help, and you guys still have the audacity to not be constructive, but to be idiots for 4 hours. For 4 hours! The conversation is so simple. It's, oh, we didn't know that there were shift times. That explains a lot. Oh, they should still have the decency to clean up. Doesn't matter. I would be like, it doesn't matter because that wasn't agreed on. We have lives outside of a lobster fest. If we sign up for 3 hours to be fair and the 3 hours for somebody else, it's like, we didn't even, like, I don't know what everyone else did. And if they help with trash, it's like, wow, you helped with trash. Like, why are you complaining? Like, it's not that big of a deal. People are so like, everything needs to be perfect at this lobster fest. My uncle does it out of passion, gets shit on, I guess, apparently every single year for it. And even when it's good, it's not good enough. And I'm like, that's fine. That's part of the process. At least we made a change and there was a difference. And like, yeah, Ming Molly, I don't know, like, she's dope or whatever. And like, you have your experience and you obviously have some ego attached to that shit. But it's like, my uncle doesn't. So it's like, if you think you can run stuff better, then why didn't you? So it's like, when she comments, like, for example, if I didn't step in, I don't know what conversations he had outside of with me. So if it wasn't like, if we didn't do what we did, then like, I don't know what else would have been done. And it's like, there was like his kids and like one cousin and like Ming Molly, and I feel like there was no one else. And London kind of came out of nowhere. And I know my mom like made her food, which was all I saw. And we had Torn run the grill and London run the grill. And it's like, what do you people want? And it's like, my favorite thing to say is, you guys let this go on for 15 years. Like, you need to fix yourselves. Like, one, it's like, appreciate the event for what it is, because they can't even do that. Second, and they probably throw down hella money. Then it's just like, well, your choice. When my mom came at me about like saying like, you know, he loses money and stuff, I'm like, Mom, I don't care if he loses money. That's not my problem. I'm like, yeah, he's my uncle and stuff, but like, I shouldn't feel bad or like do this or do that. It's his thing. And he was saying like, oh, there was a time when, it was last year, like, you invite your friends, you should make sure that they pay and stuff. And I was like, well, that's a fucking weird world. When people recommend people to come to my convention, it's not your job to make sure Michelle pays. Michelle needs to pay me. It's my job and our job as a team to make sure that we get our money. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, you guys operate weird. I'm like, if there's been a problem for 15 years and you guys haven't solved it, like, you don't even know what you're doing. And so like, I would have, and I'm like, I don't care, because I just don't feel like any of that is worth it. And I would have shut down the conversation really fast, and I would have given Chet way more props. And I'm like, if you want to be useful, then actually go out in the morning to help him. If you want the event to run smooth, then stop complaining. If you don't like it, then don't come. It's like, you're all adults and you're acting like kids. I don't care how much money you put into it. You decided to put money into it. And it's like, be constructive, not like, I'm like, and I would be like, look what you're doing. Like, he's just pretending to, like, I'm so direct, like, you don't understand, because everyone else is such a chicken head when it comes to that stuff. I'll let people speak. Then when I get my opportunity to jump in, I will jump in.
Makana, you should have been there. It was like, and this is what I said after the whole ordeal went down, because basically I said something in the beginning. Everyone had to say what they had to say with their own story and how they helped and how they didn't get any recognition for it and how we've been saying this year after year and he doesn't listen, and they basically just had to say what they had to say with their ego attached, right? Everyone was around the table arguing, you do this, you do this, you do this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, for like 4 hours. After that happened, actually it wasn't like 4 hours, it was like 2 hours. After that happened, I said the same thing, the same concept. Everyone was like, no. And then everyone had to say what they had to say with their ego attached, right? Come back around,
Yeah.
like, hold up, we could do this. It was the same thing I said, but all in all, it came down to how he's going to organize it. And that was only like 5% of the conversation. The other was just competitive. So it was really like,
I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna help or not next year. And if I did, I would just make sure that I would tell my uncle, like, make sure no one else helps because I don't want anyone to get involved. Like, and like, cause that's the thing too. Like, if there were other people who volunteered, I don't know. Then there wasn't just full communication across the board. Like, I came in, I did my job. So that's why I was just like, I don't know what you're saying, all that stuff. Oh, and I also heard, from that, like, whatever I posted on the Facebook group, something was like inappropriate, and I was like, oh, I thought you were talking about Facebook. Someone had said I posted something weird or whatever, and I was like, or said something inappropriate, and I was just like, I literally went back to the Facebook event. I was like, I'm literally just posting what the facts are, and I was like, maybe I'm too intense about deadlines that are real, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I organize events, and like, it only took the 4th time for the convention to be profitable and to not feel like chaos. Not perfect, still, like, we have our struggles, but it's good. Yeah, so I don't know. Brief summary of what just happened. Oh, we talked about different stuff. We were just talking about the Lobster Fest and the experience and how the adults were arguing about a lot of stuff, and then I got some stuff for it, but I was saying, like, if I was there, I would shut the place down real fast because everyone's dumb. People love to argue and they love to be right, and I just... You
couldn't get a word in if you were there.
I would have been like, oh man. I was like, all you guys do is complain. Like, I see, the thing is that everyone talks about little things, and if you just jump to the core is the easiest. I was like, if you don't like it, fix it.
They were screaming. They were just like, I don't know. Okay. You can tell Batana how bad the conversation was about Lobster Fest and how Batana got shit for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
That was like, oh my god, they're all straight killing.
Yo, if I was there, man. No, the thing is, people don't like to focus on the root. I'm aggressive too if I need to be, because I move. I go around, I get mad hype, and I'm like, hold up! Like, I've done that. Like, there's a time we had like a family intervention. It was basically the kids versus all the parents. And I was in the middle. And I was like, you both don't understand what's going on. I'm like, you can't assume. Like, Bishani was going off, Pirat was going off, I was going off, Kyle was going off. Like, everyone put in their sense to go against the adults, because the adults always think they're right. And I'm like, you can't do that. I'm like, there's a reason why they connect with me, and they would prefer not to talk to you guys. Like, you don't think about that stuff. All these other things. And I spoke my truth at that time too. Like, I'm confrontational because I think it's stupid. I think it's petty. I'm like, just get to the point. The point is that you guys are complaining. If you don't like it, either don't go or do a better job at communicating and doing certain things. I was like, I talked to Pachet, I had my agreements, and I did what I was supposed to do. So everything that you saw, I'm actually really proud of. Anything that you thought I was supposed to do, I wasn't supposed to do. And like, that's important to me. And I was like, I didn't even know you guys were volunteering, but that's not my fault. It's Pachet's fault. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I didn't know who else was involved. I just knew that I had a job to do, and I was being the most useful I ever was when I was there, and I put in a lot of time. So it's like, I don't care if she shuts me down. I could shut her down too.
Mom would shut you down. She was hollering.
And then I'd be like, well, no one asked you to, so why are you complaining?
You're not gonna win. McNally she has so much ego. Like, she just had to, like, be like...
I'll be like, did you come in because you wanted to do it because you cared? or this and this and that. I'm like, if you do it, it's because you like, I don't know. I have the answers to that because it's so basic. Like, if someone has ego, it's so easy to shut them down. I'm like, you're triggered right now. Like, don't scream. Like, learn how to be an adult. Like, who's the adult here?
I was being silent, bro. Like,
That's what I'm saying, and I wouldn't have to. You don't understand? Like, I'm saying if I had when I grabbed the mic. That's what I'm saying.
Everyone was screaming. Like, you would have to get your word in. I had to say, there was no mic to grab. Everyone was talking at the same time.
I feel like every time I got scared, I was
Because no one was listening to me. Everyone was just reiterating their
No, yeah, I don't actually care. But the Instagram post or my Facebook post, I was inspired by that bullshit to write what I wrote, even if it doesn't directly correlate to that.
And then everyone started talking again, and I was like, ah!
Oh, my Instagram story or my Facebook status.
Okay, but
And I could just read it. It's not really relevant, but or you can read it. I don't directly bash people sometimes. Like, I'm not super salty subtle, but what I do is this is just like a life thing. Like, I get inspired by that shit that kind of pissed me off for like 10 seconds, and then I turned it into that post. It was supposed to just be one sentence, and then it turned into that. Just what? That's fine. Then that means it was never meant to be good.
you know what I'm just thinking about right now? If one person sees
Then she has ego. It's not good. Like, I'm willing to work with her. I still love her. I'll love her even if she thinks I'm a piece of shit. But the thing is that if she has too much of an ego, then
No, it's McNally. If she heard,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that they were talking about how there's not going to
No.
be volunteers next year, and that's just
What?
going to be family volunteering. I mean, not volunteering, but helping out and everything.
I mean,
took them 15 years to figure it out.
Because it's basically
I'll log on to Steam
group
and
chat
see what
gonna
happens.
organize it, and then the whole
That's what I don't understand. I'm like, where were you guys when this guy's fucking burning and shit? Like, when I imagine him like last year, now when I recall certain memories, I'm like, yeah, people are trying to give him money. He has stickers, so like you can put on people's shirts so they get food. But I'm like, he's not doing a good job at that. I'm like, oh, because he's the only one doing it. Like, and then this was the most he literally said, like, you know, he's not as stressed and he's thankful that things are happening with there. I'm like, all family knows how to do is complain. Fucking useless. You know what I mean? Like, 15 years, guys. 15 years. It only took me 1 year to realize I needed help to run the convention.
that is true. But, so they were also talking about how volunteers have to.
See, that's subjective too. When I was talking to my mom, I was like, Mom, it's subjective. Sometimes you can volunteer and get nothing, or sometimes you volunteer and get something.
8 weeks. So,
So that just depends on Puchet and what he thinks he wants.
oh yeah?
How they shouldn't be price.
I'm like, if you want money, you gotta buy less seafood, or
Wow.
you gotta charge more, or you get sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it working?
Nope.
Really? I don't know what you did, bro.
I think. Okay, so what we were talking about, and how someone had said that
I'm gonna try
you guys only volunteered because you guys didn't have any.
One second, my mom's calling real quick. I'll call you back.
That you guys had money.
Yeah.
But it just started this whole.
It's okay. All I know is that my organization is not going to be like that.
Yeah,
You can never have people like that on board.
And then there was a whole conversation about that, and then you know, it was
Hello?
Okay.
one thing turned another thing.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Henrique said he loves you, Tyler.
Love you too, bro. What's up?
In the top
Love you
right
too,
corner,
man.
it doesn't say my name still, right?
It says,
See
what's
you.
your badges?
No problem. See you guys.
Okay, I'm gonna eat dinner now.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I usually, I run.
I mean, I have the. I'm gonna have the video saved, and then
Alright, hold on, let me try restarting my PC.
later, like,
Alright.
we'll see.
I'll call you back.
Alright.
Bye. Thank you. Don't post this. Don't post this part.
Oh shit! I just realized the whole time your audio was low. That's why.
No.
You're sensitive.
Wait, Martin is. Wait, Visal, can you talk
Yeah.
a little bit?
It wasn't an adult who said that, by the way. I'll give you that.
You can hear her
I'm not
better
gonna say
now,
anymore.
right? I had the desktop volume low. I forgot that you need that to be high if you want someone to talk. But I also have piano music playing in the background. So how does she sound? Forgot about that.
It's already 10 o'clock.
Hi.
I'm already.
I'm talking right now.
I'm just gonna wait for a response.
What the hell? Why are you sleep here? Why did you sleep here? I'm not sleeping there. I'll have to watch it.
You guys can leave if you need to leave. He said no. He's nice.
I'm not sleeping at mom's house.
Only I can hear you guys.
I'm not sleeping at mom's house. That's uncomfortable.
It doesn't matter what you look like,
Okay.
as long as you keep
Bye-bye.
yourself
Have a
in
good
check.
night. Bye, Tyler.
Yeah.
You slice.
Bye bye.
Oh, okay. I'll do what you told me to do in school. Hopefully, it doesn't make me look like a narcissistic asshole. Okay.
I'm gonna bounce, Martis.
Bye-bye.
Oh my.
So I'm gonna see you later, man. Because I'm way over time.
Again?
Love you.